Welcome back everyone to the Berserk Monster Manual. Let me ask you a couple personal questions. Do you like fish? Do you like topless women? How do you feel about me lobster?
You're fond of me lobster. Say it.
Say nothing.
Danny!
Well, today we're going to dive right in between those beautiful waves and discuss what we've seen so far about the Merrows of Berserk. If you're not already, consider subscribing to the channel for consistent Berserk manga, anime, and other content. And if you don't, I will discover and speak your true name, allowing me to have absolute control over you forever. What are Merrows? Well, the word Merrow is of Irish and English origin, which directly means basically mermaid, and originally meant more specifically a siren or a sea singer, a type of creature that lives at sea, is part fish, and sings, all of which will translate into the Berserk version of them. When talking about the folklore of Merrows and mermaids, they are usually depicted as specifically female, and that adds an air of elegance and mystique to them, I suppose. Also, it would have been mostly traditionally men that were the sailors, fishermen, and explorers of the time, so it would make sense that they would come up with a more sensual and provocative creature to make those long, lonely nights at sea a little bit more interesting. The interesting part to me would be that, continuing with the Irish legends of Merrows, they would carry a cap, which is basically a long cloak, with them, and coming ashore, they would abandon that cloak and basically turn into human form. And if that cloak was found by, let's say, a fisherman, they would now have power over the Merrow, and she wouldn't be able to return to the sea until recovering that cloak. And within that time, the Merrow might be convinced or compelled to be intimate with a fisherman and possibly even have his children. This translates into the Berserk version of a Merrow in a very unique way. See, we're first told about Merrows through the character of Ysma, a young teen living on an island full of inhabitants said to have worshipped a sea god. Many years ago, the sea god was supposedly stopped and confined to the island due to the Merrows. And apparently a Merrow had met Ysma's father, a fisherman, and after having a daughter, the Merrow then returned to sea. Here there is no cloak or cap involved, but we do get an explanation of control over astral beings in the form of their names. Ysma discovers her Merrow powers when she dives into the ocean to rescue Isidro and hears her true name for the first time. With the knowledge of her true name, Ysma is able to tap into her Merrow powers, and her legs transform into a fishtail, and she gains some fins on her face and overall has a more fish-like appearance. Soon after, it is explained by Valera that astral creatures such as Merrows, and elves as well, have a true astral name that must be kept a secret, and that someone learning of their name would give that person control over the creature. This is almost exactly like the cloak from the legends of the Merrows, so it could be very possible that Ysma's father learned of her mother's true astral name, and with that control made her stay with him. I mean, I don't want to assume Ysma's dad is some kind of controlling douche, but it would go in line with the classic Merrow legends from Irish folklore. Merrows and Berserk have pretty much a classic look that you would think of when it comes to these types of creatures, which is actually interesting because the majority of the time in the story, Miura draws his astral creatures and monsters with a twist, or makes them very different from what you would traditionally think of. For example, his trolls, his ogres, his elves, they all have unique distinguishing designs that make it very specifically Berserk. But as for the Merrows, they are the female part on top, the fish part on the bottom, you know, topless women with tails and fins. So pretty much coming directly from the classic look of the creature. And yes, just like pretty much all of Berserk's creatures, they are astral beings, but they are on the more positive end of the spectrum, similar to elves. There's nothing malicious or devious about the Merrows. They seem to be protectors of the sea, respecting and preserving the world in which they live in, helping to defeat the sea god and guiding our main characters towards Elfhelm, and having knowledge to share with them about how time moves differently in the astral world. All around, they seem to be a completely positive and peaceful race of beings. They also have all been depicted as female. This has never been directly addressed, but it could be a possibility that they need a human to reproduce with, since with the knowledge of their true name, they can transform back and forth in between the Merrow form and the human form. They may in large only become human to go ashore and procreate. So maybe Ysma's dad wasn't controlling her mom after all, and he was just there when she came ashore to get busy. And this at least answers the question, how do you have sex with a mermaid? Well, sorry guys, she grows legs and you have to bang her as a regular old boring human girl. But hey, in her Merrow form, she still has a mouth, right?
Do your legs hurt 'cause you've been running? All through my dreams.
Pardon?
Oh,
I don't have legs.
Anyway, what does that mouth do exactly? Well, it does directly relate to their powers and abilities. Now, besides the obvious, a Merrow can live in and breathe underwater, also swim at incredibly fast speeds, and usually travel in large groups. But their strongest ability is their weapon of song. Merrows use powerful vocal projection, much like a siren, to attack with sound waves, originally being able to trap the sea god in a deep sleep, and again to make the sea god rise out of the water and de-stress it enough for Guts to get in the killing blow inside the creature itself, slicing its heart. The Song of the Merrows may be able to be manipulated for a variety of reactions from their opponents, but it's seen as a more mystical and spiritual kind of thing. Their form of fighting comes from a gentle place and isn't reliant on brute force. If you had to battle a Merrow in the Berserk universe, I could only imagine it's because you're an evil being yourself or you're just an asshole. As I said, the Merrows seem to be a peaceful, spiritual type of creature and some sort of guardians of the sea. Though they are fast and travel in groups, individually they aren't physically that powerful, or at least not that we've seen thus far. They could be killed by any conventional means of slashing, stabbing, projectiles, and what have you. The trick would be actually catching them, as they could just dive underwater and swim away from you really fast, or use their singing to paralyze you. The best method, I think, would be actually learning their true astral name. As of the specifics of just how much power it would give you over them, as of making this video, we still don't really know. But it seems rather important the way that both Evalera and Isma's mother stress the importance of the name. So, learn that and you can probably have yourself a Merrow woman for a few years. Probably. Anyways, guys, what do you think about the Merrows in Berserk? Please leave all that down in the comments below. What do you think about their design, what they can do, how we've seen them in the story so far, and how do you think they're going to play into the story moving forward? Also, please check out the link in the description for Coolio magnets and the Etsy store where you can get some. One of my subscribers made these really badass Berserk magnets that you can get featuring Guts in his rage mode and also in the Berserker armor. They're super cool and they're at a really good price, so if you come home from school and you get an A on your book report on Berserk, you can stick it to the fridge with some style. Anyways, like I said, please just check out that link in the description below. I think they're pretty cool, and I think you guys would definitely enjoy them. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I really do appreciate it. Please give it a like, comment, subscribe if you want to stick around and see more. All links to my other socials are in the description below. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you next time.